Hey there, happy day. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with What's She Up To Now, day 800. Actually, 800 days, pretty much in a row. I think I missed 2 days out of the 800, so this would actually be day 802, but in the last couple of years, I was sick over Christmas. I had some kind of a flu over Christmas, was not diagnosed. Did go to the doctor, but they're like, we're not even gonna do a flu test because you don't have a fever or some reason. I can't remember what the reason was, but I was like, wondering why I bothered to go to the doctor at that point. And that was over the holidays. Over the holidays, I actually missed Christmas this year. I recused myself. I kept myself out of Christmas so I wouldn't get everybody sick. Well, it was too late because my daughter and my son-in-law had already been around me. So they flew down to Florida for Christmas and got my son-in-law's whole family sick for the holidays. So that was a early reminder of and I don't interact with a lot of people, so I felt really bad, but it was an early reminder that we can be really contagious for people even when we're not realizing it and we don't think that we're interacting with a lot of people. So that was like my warm-up for COVID-19, I think, was separating myself from people over the holidays. Anyway, so because I missed a day in the holidays, this would be day 802 or whatever, but it's day 800. It's a lot of days in a row to hop online and chat about what I'm doing as I transition from the corporate world and the brick and mortar world to the online world. I spent 47 years, I've been in businesses for like 27 or more different industries and different businesses over the last 47 years. And in addition to that, I spent over a quarter century in corporate America, being predominantly in the area of quality. I started out as an engineer, and then I switched to manufacturing and quality. And quality was the area I really loved because I got to stick my fingers in my nose in everybody's business. And so that was right up my alley in corporate America. So I've done all that offline stuff, but I'd always been, not always, but early on as the internet started to come online, I was always a little bit curious about it. So in the background, although I didn't have much time because I was working in corporate America and running businesses and raising 2 small children and married and a challenging relationship, to say the least, I didn't have much time to explore the internet, to explore the World Wide Web. People give me a hard time when I call it the World Wide Web because nobody calls it that anymore. That tells you when I first started getting curious about it. And so a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to let go of the things I'd been doing in my past and decide what did I want to do, who did I want to be, how did I want to show up in the world. And so I got that opportunity a few years ago. Everybody right now is getting that opportunity. Now, a lot of people don't see that opportunity. I think probably the 10 million people or more that have lost their jobs in the last couple of weeks are kind of throwing up their hands and saying, how is this an opportunity? This is terrible. But it really is. Every time I've ever lost a job in the past, and it's been more than once, hate to admit it, but it's been more than once, either by layoff or firing. I've been fired, been laid off, kind of tried it all over the course of my career. Every time something like that happens, although it feels like and seems like the end of the world, it never is. And this is no different. COVID-19 is not going to be the end of the world as most of us know it. Now, there are going to be people that die. There are going to be casualties of this situation, this virus, just like every other virus. You know, I mean, all kinds of statistics are being thrown around, but like 34 million people get the regular flu every year. And of that, I can't remember how many die, but tens of thousands of people die every year because of that. This will be worse, but in some ways similar in that people are dying all the time and we forget that. And this is a huge wake-up reminder that we aren't invincible, right? This life has a expiration date on it, and I think that's why it's so scary for people. It's a reminder that we are not invincible. We are not going to survive everything. But guess what? That's not really any different than it was before we heard about this virus, right? We're actually not in any different situation, the majority of us, than we were before, because each and every one of us could die, you know, in 5 minutes. We never know. And we forget about that as we're running through our lives and going about our daily activities and working toward what we want, which is as it should be. But something like this happens, and it's a huge reminder, and it plays on people's fears. It plays on our fears and insecurities of the unknown. There's a whole lot of unknowns right now. But if we take a deep breath and we think about it, we've always had these same and similar unknowns, right? We never knew if we were going to step off a curb and get hit by a bus. We've never known if we're going to have a sudden cardiac arrest and die all of a sudden. We've never known. And, you know, we won't know, right? Unless we're clairvoyant and we go see we go see someone who is clairvoyant, and maybe then it still isn't accurate. We don't know. So that level of uncertainty, although it's peaked right now, and there's a lot more people feeling uncertain simultaneously than usual, if we look at our individual personal situations, it's maybe not as dire as we're making it out to be. It's like when we focus on and we live in the past, and we relive bad situations over and over and over again, or past situations over and over again. And I say bad ones because the vast majority of us human beings, we relive the things where we think that we've fallen short or that we beat ourselves up for a lot more often than we relive our glory moments and our glory days, right? And that's just human nature. And so this is a time to just stop, beat up those old things and say, okay, the world has changed as I know it. What am I going to do about it? Not focusing on the problem anymore, because the problem's already here, right? It's like when we're faced with a challenge or a change of any sort in our life. Say we come to the end of a relationship, or we have a huge health challenge. Instantly, massive changes occur in our life, whether we want it or we think we're ready for it or not. And so many of us, depending on how old you are or how experienced you are, we've already been through so many changes, so many challenges, so many traumas and things in our life. This is just another situation that we will deal with, and I know that we'll all deal with it with as much grace and goodness as we possibly can. So I think I titled this one Beat It, because the idiom that I did for Supersize Your Business today was beat your swords into plowshares. Now here's an expression that I've never heard of before, and maybe because it's in Isaiah in the Bible, and I don't know that I've ever read Isaiah in the Bible, right? And so that might be one of the reasons I'm not familiar with that. Plus, our world has changed so much in my lifetime. The vast majority of the people I interacted with have nothing to do with farming and agriculture. Not until I entered the food industry did I even interact with the USDA or the Department of Agriculture. So it's outside my level of experience. But what it basically means to me is trade the tools that you were using that maybe worked fine before for new tools and new things that will work better for you given your current situation. And that's really powerful in that there's so many tools and there's so many technologies and so many strategies and things that a lot of us have never had the opportunity or the time and energy to explore, and we're able to do that right now. I don't know if y'all know it, but there are millions of mobile apps, right? There are millions of computer apps. There are millions of tools out there that we could have been using and taking advantage of, but for the most part we weren't. I know it wasn't until I went online in the last couple of years that I realized all of the tools and all the amazing technology that exists, and I don't even know the tip of the iceberg, right? But I started to discover new tools, and tools that work really, really well for me personally. I'll just share a couple. One, Zoom. I love Zoom. I've been using Zoom for a couple of years. There's another one called StreamYard for video and sharing live videos with people. There's and so StreamYard and Zoom are my two favorite. I played with Be Live, and I played with Facebook Live and stuff, and I do a lot of Facebook Live. Obviously, we're on Facebook Live right now, primarily because it's free and it's easy, right? I can grab my cell phone, I can hit my Facebook app, free download the app, and I can start talking. And I can share my message and share information with the people that I'm here to serve. Most people couldn't care less, but the people that I'm here to serve are here because they care or because they want to know and learn some things. So incredible tools and technology that's available now. There's a walkie-talkie app that is super powerful for me personally, given that I have vision challenges, to communicate with people. So instead of having to text and talk, text all the time and respond to messages, people can reach me through an app called Voxer. And Voxer's got a free version too, where you can interact and talk to people like a walkie-talkie. I guess I love that from my Girl Scout days, but somebody can beat me, ask their question, and I can respond so much quicker than if I have to log into my computer, log into some other software, and type out a response, or for me, hop on my computer, which is attached to a 62-inch screen TV, and then respond, right? that all takes more time, and you can't do it on the fly. Now, we're home, right? We're at home for a while, and we're separating ourselves, so it can do that. But for the most part, when we're out and about and running in our world, an application like Voxer is incredibly powerful because of your quick response. Now, you don't share it with everybody, right? I definitely don't give everybody my Voxer, but the people that I work closest with have my Voxer, and they know that's a really cool and fast way of interacting with me. There's all kinds of video conferencing tools and things like that as well that you can still be meeting up with either your clients, your customers, your family, and your friends, even though you can't be in close proximity with them. My daughter and my son-in-law are in Colorado, and I'm not with them, but I can still message them. I can Facebook call them. I can Zoom call. We did a Zoom call for my daughter's birthday, for her birthday party, because nobody could get together, right? We all couldn't get together. Her husband was in Colorado. She was in Wisconsin at the time. Her in-laws were all in various towns in Minnesota, so they all got together on Zoom, and I think they spent like 2 or 3 hours hanging out. They each had their own beverage and just having a good time catching up with one another in their lives through new technology. So there's new solutions out there, and now we have the time to look for them. And even the businesses that are ramping up and changing and growing, they might not feel like they have the time, but they have the necessity of looking into alternative tools and technologies. And so for me, beat your swords into plowshares just means look for what else is possible. Look for different ways of doing things. Day 7 of the Get Up and Go Challenge today, which I am excited to do. Yesterday we talked about the long pivot process. I call it the pivot process because pivot's a big word right now. And I work with business people, so pivoting is a quick, pivot process sounds cool too. So we talked about the pivot process, the long form, and today I'm going to share the condensed version, the shorter version, because once you learn the longer version, it's easy to combine some of the steps. And I believe the older I get, the more I'm learning the power of keeping things simple. If people have a 5 to 7 step process, they can remember it and they can create it and they can make it automatic. I would say probably one of the most foundational frameworks or strategies that I've ever learned is the plan, do, check, act strategy, or the plan, do, check, act process of looking at things. I learned it back in college for some of my coursework, and I've used that to become a certified quality manager, to lead quality for some of the biggest corporations on the planet, and be involved in their programs. And it is just it's because it's so simple, but it's a great framework for making sure that you don't miss anything in anything, not just in the field of quality, but especially in the field of quality. It's just a simple process. So I've learned the value of a simple process. And so now I add frameworks and simple processes to pretty much everything I do. Yep, you can have 101 things that you need to do, or you can have 5 things that you need to do, the 5 most important things. People will remember the 5 most important things. They're not going to remember 101, right? 101 is overwhelming. Even a dozen is often overwhelming. So I personally have had to pare back all the things that I want to share and keep it simple. And start simply and then add in the areas that people want more information on. So I'm going to do the short version today, and I'm excited about that because I think the short version of change, it's not just a pivot process, it's actually the process that we use to deal with any kind of change, right? Any kind of change, any kind of challenge, any kind of obstacle, any kind of situation that comes up that we need to deal with, right? Or that we should deal with, that we're ignoring or procrastinating on. If we want our life to go in a certain direction. So we're going to talk about that today. It was another drawing and using our imagination day for the fun challenge, doing a 365-day fun challenge, and we just drew something fun. And then I'm going to hang out with my amazing 4-year-old granddaughter. So it's going to be a busy, fun day. Even in a pandemic, we can still be busy and have fun, right? If we're doing the things that make us feel good. And even if you're one of the 10 million people that have recently lost your jobs, what are you doing to prepare? Now, you might know already that your job's not coming back, because there will be a percentage of jobs that just don't come back after this. Economic crises and change, it just happens. And guess what? It's happening all the time, every day anyway. But there will be a whole slew of businesses and technologies and industries that grow out of this pandemic. I think we will see a huge wave of manufacturing, and manufacturing has really good jobs, gang. I think we'll see a huge wave of manufacturing come back to the United States. I think we'll see a huge resurgence in that sector, as I love, because it's one of my favorite industries, right? I love manufacturing. I think you'll see a huge influx of that. Do you want to be a part of that? If you do, what do you need to do right now? What can you do right now to prepare to be a part of that? To be a part of the growing wave of things that are going to happen? Because you've got probably another 4 weeks, 3 weeks or 4 weeks for sure, that you can really focus on that. And a concentrated effort on anything in a condensed period of time can give you huge results. And people are going to be looking for results and what can you do for them, not necessarily, do you have a degree, do you have this? And I know that there's still that old, you got to have a degree to do anything belief, but that is such a dead and old belief. If you can prove and provide and get results for people, that's going to be what really matters going forward, in my humble opinion. So what can you do? What are you going to do? What can you do? If you don't know, if you don't have any idea, if you're afraid, just ask in the comments below, or direct message me, please, because nobody should be sitting around afraid. You know, we're past the phase where we should be watching Netflix, binging on Netflix and eating bonbons or whatever. You know, we're past that. We're a couple weeks into this, and you know, we can all feel bad for a few weeks, but then we want to stop feeling bad and say, okay, obviously this sucks, but what's my solution to that? What's my personal solution? Because each and every one of us, there are things we can do, and if we're focusing on the things we can do, that's our mission, that's our role, that's our job right now, is to focus on solutions and the things we each individually can do, and then move forward. That's it. That's all I've got today. Go out, have an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye.